Greetings, Malifaux fans. This is Crazy Carl, and I am back with another Malifaux video battle report. Today we have a 35 Soulstone scrap. It is me, Crazy Carl, playing Seamus, the Mad Hatter, versus Chris, aka Twisted Metal on the Wyrd forums, playing Kirai. I think he's trying to gear up for our Colette versus Kirai match, which we had some requests for. So he's trying to get a little bit of practice in with Kirai, and I just haven't played Seamus in a long time, and I really love playing Seamus, so I decided to go to Seamus for this game. So here you can see our board. We've got our models all deployed, all nice and pretty like. It's a pretty open board, not a lot of blocking terrain, which is usually more my type for when I put boards together, but this board was already set up when we got to the store, so we just kind of went ahead with it. The heights were 1 basically for the hills, except for if they have an elevation, there's height 2. And then there's the forest, and then the random doodads around the board, which really didn't do much. You can see me deployed on the right and Chris on the left. So, for schemes and strategies, we had shared deliver a message. I took stake a claim on the house, which was just beyond the halfway point of the board. And I took bodyguard on Molly, because bodyguard Molly's pretty easy. And I didn't need Soulstone cash. It's probably not going to happen for Chris to take her out. If he really focused on it, he could, but I didn't think he would, so that's why I went with that. So, Chris had Betrayed by Spirits. So Icaro needed to kill something. And Chris also took Breakthrough, because Breakthrough is pretty darn easy for Kirai. He took the Betrayed by Spirits because he wanted a little bit of a challenge, but, you know, Breakthrough is pretty simple with Kirai. Let's not kid ourselves. So, for deployments, you see me deployed up at the top of the board with Seamus, a pair of Rotten Bells, Madame Cybele for the Companion Goodness, Molly Squidpidge, the Grave Spirit, and the Necrotic Machine, along with a Crooked Man. I like the Crooked Man, but he probably wasn't the best. I probably should have gone with a Drowned, but what are you going to do? Drowned would have been good for the spells, but oh well. So, Chris had the Dead Rider, a 5-pack of Seishin, Datsuba, Lost Love, and then a Canine Remains, and a Desperate Mercenary that he could use to cut up with Datsuba and turn into lots of models. It's a pretty effective tactic. Chris has used it for a couple games now, and it essentially gives you, I think, use 4 Soulstones, you get a Gaki and an Onryo, unless you get the trigger for Onryo both times, which is frankly quite difficult to do with Kirai. So you end up with a lot of extra models. So you see with my first turn, I just basically advanced up the board, trying to keep models around Seamus, just to make it difficult for other models to squeeze in and deliver the message turn 1, which Chris could do, but it would probably mean losing a model, which is probably why he didn't do it. I actually had a chance to deliver the message turn 1 if Chris moved up Kirai, which he would eventually, by slingshotting up a model with Madame Cybele, which is why I took her, because she's good for scenarios like this in Treasure Hunt. But as it was, I didn't draw the 9 of Masks I needed to do so it just couldn't happen. So I did have a bell up on the ledge, I'm sorry, on that hill, and Chris summoned a Shikome, which whiffed pretty hard, and I think really only did like 2 or 3 wounds. He did not do much damage to my Rotten Bell. Beat her up, but didn't kill her, so it was good news for me. The rest of the turn was spent with Chris, you know, chopping up his stuff, making new models. You can see the Onryo he summoned and the Gaki. He kind of did his order a little bit wrong. Like, he should have had the Gaki summon near Datsuba and then pick up the 2 corpse counters, because then he's just pretty damn well near unkillable. Unless I kill the Gaki and then pick up all the corpse counters for my own use, which could be pretty awesome, but, you know, not really what happened. And the rest of the turn was, you know, Kirai moving up. She summoned the Sakome, and then because the Datsuba killed those 2 models, she got back to max station, so pretty good. So here's the overview of the board after turn 1. And it was pretty fortunate for me in that I won initiative this turn. You see he brought up the Dead Rider, but on his turn he was pretty reserved. He really didn't bring his crew very far up. That's because I have a reasonable amount of spell attacks. I have Madame Cybele, which between lures can move up and then fire off a couple shrieks, which do a good amount of damage to the spirits. And then Seamus has his spells, and his gun still does reasonable damage to the spirits. So, what I did on my turn when I won initiative was I lured back my Bell after having the Bell attack and cast Undress. I think I attacked twice. I did it poorly, not optimally, but it didn't really matter because I was able to focus to cast Shriek on the Shikome, which killed it because I was able to cheat into Severe. So that was pretty cool, and I didn't have to deal with the Shikome anymore. Unfortunately, Kirai was just kind of able to do whatever she wanted. She summoned another Shikome, and, you know, Datsuba kind of moved up. I tried to lure up Datsuba and do some damage to her, but it just didn't really work out. Dotspell launched off a spell, but again, really didn't do much. I just kind of shuffled around. I didn't really move up my crew very much because we were kind of like circling around each other, didn't really want to engage. I do remember Chris attacked with, he tried to kill off my Grave Spirit with the Dead Rider and just didn't hit, which was pretty awesome. I was pretty stoked about that because I was pretty much planning on it just dying, so it was nice to keep my Grave Spirit around. So, here's my advance after Chris delivered the message. He had the Shikome, as you could see from the previous picture, behind the hill. He just walked it around. I believe it was prayed on one of my bells or something. It was something that didn't really matter. He walked around the hill, delivered the message after getting fast with Nimble, and yeah, that was pretty much it. I couldn't really do anything about it, but since it was prayed on a bell, I was able to just walk away from it because it didn't disengage me, which was nice. But Chris was able to move up a bunch of spirits with Companion. I think he moved up his Lost Love, Companion with Kirai, did some swirling, and got the Shikome out of danger, which worked out pretty well for him. Summoned out Icaro, and didn't really do much. The Dead Rider kind of was ineffectual. You'll see the Gaki's no longer on the board. I think I had a high Crow. I don't remember for sure, but I do remember being able to get the berry trigger off with my Crooked Man and kill off the Gaki. Not really, the most important model in the world, but yeah, there you go. So what you see here is Madame Sibel. I forgot to include the picture of where I slingshotted up a bell using Call Bell to deliver the message. I was able to get that off before Kirai ended up way the hell over on the other side of the board. But as it was, I was pretty behind on points. I was really fighting an uphill battle. Chris tried to make it more of an uphill battle by trying to kill off Molly with the Dead Rider, but forgot she had armor and just kind of dropped her off in the middle of nowhere, so she was not really going to be affecting the board very much. So I was forced to use other models to try and make up the points. So I was really focused on trying to kill Kirai to keep him from summoning another Shikome or swirling or going into the spirit world and just I was trying to stop him from getting breakthrough, because if he didn't get breakthrough, he drew, and if he did, then he won. So he would draw. Yeah, I would win. I'm sorry, but as it were, I overextended Seamus, which left me open to Betrayed by Spirits, so he was able to get a bunch of models to attack Seamus, get him down really low, and Icaro almost killed Seamus. I used my last 2 Soulstones to keep myself from dying, so very close. However, Chris flipped a 10 to continue the game, but unfortunately he had to leave, so we really didn't get a chance to finish. So you'll see that turn 7, Seamus was doomed. There's really nothing I could do, unless I got some miraculous Undead Psychosis off, but not going to happen. And then here you see the Shikome that is sitting behind the forest, and I was just racking my brain trying to figure out some way to stop it, but I just couldn't. So, as it was, despite not finishing, we would have finished 8-6 in Kirai's favor. So, hope you enjoyed it, and see you guys next time.